Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. And today was tariff day. Was today decision day? And the big question for tomorrow is going to be, is the first reaction the right reaction? And that is something you need to understand about big data drops is the first reaction could be the wrong one, but it also could be the right one. So if tomorrow we do see this daily MACD cross down in the downward direction and we see that selling continue, this could be that big stock market crash, or this could be some kind of massive trap. So we're going to hop right into this and give you guys some daily expected moves, which you're noticing almost look like weekly expected moves. So we almost have to look at the daily chart in order to actually talk about them. So we see 580.46 to the upside and 548.58 to the downside. I apologize that we're just going to be going over this SPY in the Qs, mainly looking at the signals to look for tomorrow because wifey's got a sinus infection and I got to go help out. So thank you guys for joining us. Let's get into it right away here. We do see this 2-hour chart. Now, if you were here for the live shows, we kept reminding everyone, even though we've taken back the 5-day moving average, and I'm someone who's sitting in positioned for the upside, my plan for the trade was very ready for this to happen, and this is something that I was really looking for. And actually, I'm okay with it, and I see it as a potential opportunity, but something that seems very risky. You can see that we are heading down below the daily expected move. A lot can change by morning. We'll see how this happens throughout the night and stuff like that. But for the most part, we were saying if this hourly cross down, right, extending that time frame, because the 30 minutes in that awkward spot, pretty much like slightly above where it's leaning a little bit more towards pullback or consolidation. Okay, that's going to be something to be aware of. Is sometimes I like to just say, hey, the hourly looks a little bit cleaner here as far as looking at the MACD behavior. And so if this goes in the downward direction and we keep seeing this head down, we were looking for that 545, right? We kept mentioning that 545, this little zone down in this area. And for now, we're going to be paying attention to that, but we can see that weekly expected move coming into play potentially tomorrow for the SPY. But what if the first move isn't the right move? If the first move is the right move, then you're most likely not going to make a divergence down at these levels. And hey, we might be heading down and down and down and have to make other reversal signals if this is going to be some kind of trick. But for the time being, this could get a lot worse here. It really could. I'm going to say that, right? The crash can be there, but you still have a lot of probability saying that this could be a trap. So just be aware of that. You have extreme volatility, which means you can see huge moves in both directions. And we notice that our line down here is coming in at that 548.58 down towards this area, which we were paying attention to. So if you see that divergence actually confirm tomorrow, this could still be some kind of potential trap. I'm not going to take the easy road and see that, oh, the news is being, taken as bad and tell you guys, oh, there's a 100% chance of a stock market crash. No, if you keep seeing these signals and they get violated and then you get bounces and they keep failing, yeah, you might be experiencing some downside. You might be experiencing some very volatile stock market crash-like behavior. But at this time, that would be like, okay, if I believe that was going to happen, am I going to short down in here? Well, I might be someone who thinks stock market crash, but I'm not necessarily leaning towards a stock market crash. So all I have to do is say, I'm not going to short it. And at the same time, if my plan starts to go wrong, then I have the potential to react. But at this moment, we're seeing if this downside is just some kind of big trap down by 540, down by 545, and if we're going to end up seeing an hourly divergence at the end of all this. So just be aware that the first move doesn't have to be the right one, but it could be. And that's something to treat very seriously when considering your options out there. The things that you decided to take, will this completely make your plan go wrong? That will be a big deal to pay attention to as tomorrow starts to happen. And we will be paying attention to the PCC and everything like that in the morning to see if people are getting very, very bearish, and then we reverse around, they remain bearish, right? While we were looking at the SPY, I just wanted to pop over to the VIX real quick. I wanted to show off the 2-hour chart because the 2-hour chart is still positive, and we came down into a key area testing that 5-day moving average. Something that we'll look for a hint from volatility is a 2-hour divergence, right? We will be looking for signals that prove this, but as that is a massive move, we could see volatility absolutely pop off here, and we're still looking for that daily scale to turn up. Remember that the daily scale turning up does point towards the potential for some kind of bigger corrective move, some kind of bear market beginning, some kind of crash at this point. So you have to be aware of that. But at the same time, you can be aware of if that goes wrong as well, right? If I'm betting on a stock market crash or something, like if I'm positioned for a stock market crash and I see something go wrong at any time, you got to have that open room to be able to react. You got to have that mentality of, yeah, this looks really, really bad, right? We can see by switching over to the Qs that this looks really, really bad right now. But as of right now, well, we'll see what happens. That's kind of how it goes, right? We got a big data drop. You have extreme implied volatility going into the next day. We're going down to the lows right away. And we're aware that for the Qs, the hourly chart was as well something that was really close to the center line. And this is why we kept mentioning it during the live stream. So just be aware of that. But we noticed that the daily expected moves of 493.50 to the upside and 458.80 to the downside. These are extremely large expected moves. This is some of the large, I think this is actually the largest daily expected move I've ever seen. So it's a big deal. But what did we say about the Qs during this whole run? Well, watch as we get to that 5. Yeah, it's good that we're taking it back, right? But also watch for if that curls down, because we could see the Qs hit their weekly expected move, see the SPY go down to 545, and then see this thing actually whip back around. So I would just be aware if a divergence does pop up. Now, if this is going to be quick in the morning or something like that, you kind of want it to be quick. This most likely will curl down daily charts, and daily divergences still can be there with this type of look. Don't think it's all bloody and murder in the streets just because a bunch of YouTubers are telling you after they get the news that we're crashing, right? That's something very easy to do. In these situations, it's very difficult to keep a level head, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm still going to be paying attention if there's hourly divergence. Okay, so that's the big deal there. The last thing that I really wanted to go through was the futures, right? I wanted to go look over at the SPX 500 over here and show that this is heading down dramatically, right? These things are heading down pretty dramatically. And as we can see in the futures, the day tells a different story. Wednesday, April 2nd, we see that the daily actually crossed, right? We see that we are crossing down right away. We see that this is a totally different story when you take into consideration that last bit of the day that doesn't really get priced or doesn't really get shown in the charts for the SPY or the QQQs. So if you're paying attention to this, hey, look at the upside. You have your moves here for the up and downside for your daily expected moves. We have the weekly expected moves up there. And overall, is this really as bad as it seems? Is this right now, are you experiencing something crazy? Are you experiencing a stock market crash right now? We would need to see more price action. We really would, because in order to say this has high potential to a crash, we would have to see dramatic things get outside of these moves, right? If it is going to crash, you have to see it get in outside of the crazy area. We are not outside of that area just yet, so be aware of that. It looks like the options market was pricing in a lot of implied volatility. Okay, that's awesome. But if we keep a level head about this, we can actually take into consideration that the first move might not be the right one, but it could be the right one. So if it is going to affect your trade, if it is going to go against your plan for your trade, then that means there might be a management of trade necessary. But I just want people to be aware that you can keep a level head when everyone's screaming there's blood in the streets. You can keep a level head and understand that if a hourly divergence pops up down in these areas, that would be good. Let me be very clear. If you do not get confirmation that the hourly divergence is there and you start to head to deeper levels, breaking through, right, probably going down to the monthly expected move, right? We really cut 540 and then you see little bounces and use that weekly expected move as resistance. That is a more worrisome type of thing. Why? Because you are going outside of the weekly expected move. The other thing about that is we just mentioned that monthly expected move down there. I would get those on your charts right now because they're going to potentially be very, very important here, because they will really tell you if you're experiencing a crash in this month. They will, because they will go outside. If you're experiencing something crazy, you have to get out of the expected area, right? And notice how, these yellow lines are here for a reason. This is your 68% expected area. So the options market overall, you haven't seen something that's gone against what people are expecting, but people are going to treat it really, really bad. And if it is really bad, the price action will prove it by getting outside of these monthly expected moves with no reversal signals. And then it's going to be up to a V-shaped recovery to help it. And that's going to be something very difficult to spot. We're going to look at those individual stocks to see how they're holding up. NVIDIA, as of right now, you're going, this is awful. This is an absolute crash, right? If it's an absolute crash, everyone would be running to their stocks right now and probably selling these things, okay? We were aware that NVIDIA was very key for this. It has not confirmed daily divergence. This has not crossed up. So there was always the possibility to make this more complex. I know we said we were just going over the SPY and the Qs, but I wanted to talk about NVIDIA because I think people are paying attention to it. And we were talking about you still might need to see something like this right over here. And what do you have? Well, it's a little bit bigger, but you do have something like this that could potentially form. I don't think that this would potentially be like the absolute low on that blue line there in the post market. I think you could head down to even $100 and you still would potentially set up a look like this. If you see a divergence on your MACD, if you see a divergence on your RSI, just take it into consideration. Okay. That's all I'm saying. And even if it's just useful for you to be like, maybe it makes me take a little profit if I'm thinking there's a stock market crash, right? Little decisions like that are what really separate people from being a bad trader versus a good trader. And really, bad trader versus good trader, it's more just your longevity, right? If you're still making decent decisions at the right times, you build yourself a longevity, you build yourself that survivability. And if you can survive in the game for a longer period of time, that's a good thing. So just to sum it up at the end of this video for, say, a main takeaway, we are continuing to drop right now. You see that we continue to go to lower levels. It could be very worrisome. So if this is something that is violating your plan for your trade right now, and maybe you took, a short position, you're thinking this is great. Okay, so there's two things to look at here. If I was bullish and this violates my plan right now, I might have to make a decision in the morning. If I'm very bearish and I see this go down, I'm pretty happy with it as long as it continues to go down and not make divergence, right? So if I am really bearish and I see this turn up and we see confirmation, and we see divergence, I would just say that that would be a good plan to pay attention to for if a plan is going wrong, if I'm bearish at this point. Even if you're 99% bearish seeing this type of price action, I totally get it. It's a huge move. Being level-headed is difficult with this. But if you see a divergence down here for an hourly chart, I would really start to pay attention and make sure that you're aware that even though you just got potentially bad news, you can still see this first reaction be the wrong one, and the second one can be the right one. So we'll be watching it. We will be live in the morning on YouTube and live for the close on Rumble. We still get data throughout the week, so we will be watching these things with you. Pretty much I treat markets like the sky's never falling. I overall treat markets like, okay, this is bad. I can be 99% bearish now, but if it curls up like this, hey, that's a bullish signal. And if no one else reacts to that, I will. And usually that benefits me over time, which is very, very nice. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. We are up for a crazy day tomorrow. I hope you guys are excited for it. I'm pretty pumped for it. I hope you guys are ready. I hope you guys are updating your plan. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for liking and subscribing. Hope you guys have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.